everyone to our new segment, In the Know. Hey, this is Shaelan with Luminous, reporting in to talk about outlining. We want to talk to our law students and graduate students that are working through the process of outlining in order to prepare for final exams. I know that for me personally, it was an excellent tool to help make sure that I was adequately prepared for what was to come in my final exams. And to help me in this discussion is a very special guest, a very special friend of mine, good friend of mine, Miss Kymberly Porter Esquire. Just to let you all know a little bit about Kim before we get started, she was voted, while in law school, she was voted as the most outstanding first-year law student. She was an executive editor for Law Review, and right now she is a state prosecutor, and she actually founded a company called the Porter Solution, where they provide coaching to incoming 1Ls for law school subjects. Hey, welcome, Kim. Thank you so much for coming on the talk, girl.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Hey, so now outlining. You know, you and I in law school, that was a huge tool that really helped us adequately prepare for finals. And I just wanted to give our students the opportunity to hear from you and your thoughts about how to adequately prepare for law school exams with this tool. So my first question is, why is outlining in law school so important?
So outlining does a few different things. One, it makes sure that you have actually read the information. And I know that sounds crazy, but throughout the hecticness of law school, it's crazy. Sometimes you read, sometimes you can't. But outlining makes sure that you have to have read the material. And you will have read it more than once. You have to read it, and then you have to decide what goes into your outline. And then you read it as you're transposing things into your outline. And then when you're studying, you have to have it to read again. So you've read it a few different times. Also, what it does is it gives you a study aid that is specific to you. Not something that someone else created. It's not something that someone else wrote. It is literally you saying it in your own words, how you understand it with your own examples. And so that is why it's super important to do your own outlines rather than using someone else's or using just another study aid. It's literally tailor-made for you.
I love what you said about making that outline tailored to you, because one thing I did while I was in law school, and it really worked for me because I'm a visual person, I had pictures. I had pictures that helped me remember some of those critical facts about particular cases. And it was so helpful for me to recall during testing time. And so that's something I was able to make personal to me, because that's what resonated with me. And so that leads me into our next question, Kim. Okay, so we talked about why it's so important for us to tailor our outlines to what resonates with us. Now, what all would you suggest for a 1L, a 2L, and maybe even a 3L? What would you suggest that they put in their outline? Because we're always having to reinvent ourselves in law school, right? So what would you suggest that they make sure they have in that outline to make it an effective tool?
So I like the way you asked your question, because I will say 1Ls, 2Ls, and definitely 3Ls still need to outline. By the 3L year, you kind of get lazy, you get lax, you think senioritis was something in undergrad. Nah, 3L has that topped. So definitely everyone needs to be outlining. But I say things that go in your outline are your rule of law from your case briefs. So you're definitely going to have to be briefing your cases. Your reasoning from your case brief, because you want to be able to differentiate that rule of law depending upon the hypos and the facts that you're given on your exam. Then I would also suggest you take a look at some study aids, some supplements, because a lot of times they have a different explanation that says things in a little bit different way that may make more sense than however your professor said it. So you want some of that as well. Your class notes. So I was a little bit anal. I would do my case briefs And then in class, the way I took notes was actually on Post-it notes. I would write on a Post-it note and stick it onto the section of the case that my professor was talking about. So if they said something differently than what I had in my notes from actually reading, I would use that. All of those
Okay.
little notes, I put those into my outline as well. And then, like you said, pictures, charts, graphs. If it's a Venn diagram, if that helps you to understand it better, if it is a meme, anything, like whatever it is that's going to help you to remember the information and understand it and understand how it works, that's what you need in your outline.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. And so just to make sure we highlight some of those things, at the end of the day, you as a student, particularly law students, you need to know the rule of law. You need to know the rule of law and how the rule of law applies to specific situations or hypotheticals. And those hypotheticals will be presented to you in the cases that you are assigned to brief and that you are assigned to review. So whether you use the means like Kim said, or you make sure that you have some type of illustration, make sure that you have the rule of law. Whatever you need to do is make sure you understand the rule of law as it applies to whatever situations that have been presented to you through case briefing or even current events. Go there and make sure that that is in your outline. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Now, this is a question I've been getting a lot lately, Kim, and students have been asking me, 1Ls and even 2Ls have been asking me. So when is a great time for students to really start outlining? When do they need to start? Should they start seriously outlining once they get more acclimated to the new school year? So whether that be a month into classes, 2 weeks, the first week, when would you suggest students begin their outlining?
I would suggest you start outlining when the semester starts. Outlining, while it is an easy thing to do, it's not hard to do. It's extremely tedious and time consuming. And time is literally one of the most precious things you have in law school. And you never feel like you have enough of it. So definitely start at the beginning. All you need really to start an outline is a syllabus and whatever your readings are, so that you can make sure those things line up. And that will just give you the shell of your outline right there. After your first week of reading, case briefing, and going to class, go ahead that weekend, plug that stuff into your outline. Of course, you got time, you can go back and tweak it as you go through the semester, because you might start on week 1, and then by week 6, you're like, man, that first part of my outline is trash. I didn't know what I was doing, but at least you got something. And so you can go back and tweak it. It's perfectly okay. But definitely go ahead and get started earlier, because one thing I'll tell you is you'll feel overwhelmed if you start in the middle of the semester and you don't have anything. And it's like, I have to get all of this information. You'll feel overwhelmed. You'll be leaving things out that are important that need to go in there because you don't feel like you have time to include it. And the very worst thing you could possibly do, which people do, is wait until it's time to study. People go, it's study week, I don't have an outline, I don't have anything, let me make an outline. Ain't no making no outline real quick. Let me just say that. Like, that doesn't happen. It's not a thing. You're not gonna just throw one together. So you're gonna take all of the time you should be using to study to be creating that outline. And while sure that helps you to go over the information, it does not synthesize it in your brain like actual studying does. So start at the very beginning of your semester as soon as you possibly can.
Right. So did you hear that, students? That means that it is almost September right now. You need to be starting right now, and filling out your outline and getting it structured. If you need to make adjustments along the way, just like Kim said, then you'll be able to do that. At least you won't be starting from bar none. Okay. All right. So we want to make sure that you are in the know. Today, you had an opportunity to hear from one of the most talented people that I have met out of law school, Ms. Kymberly Porter of the Porter Solution. Attorney Porter can be reached at theportersolution.com. I'll make sure I leave that link in the description. Thank you so much for coming, Kim, and for dropping these gems. I would say that they're in the know about outlining.
Absolutely. And if there is any question at all about whether you're doing it right, just visit us at theportersolution.com. We also offer outlining reviews. So if you're like, I don't know if I've done this correctly, I can help with that. No problem.
That's amazing. Okay. Thank you so much, Kim. This has been great. You all take her up on that offer. You will not be sorry. Okay. I'll see you next time on In the Know.